if you want to stay motivated, you better start thinking motivated, start doing motivated things.
You gotta have the courage to go out there and make a change and be willing to sacrifice, like what you currently have right now. It may seem a little crazy at first because you're like, why would I want to change?
We all can do so much more. It's a little bit of education. When I get home, I don't watch TV, I don't relax. All I do is I do study.
I have this really relentless attitude where like I don't want nobody like bothering me or interrupting me or like talking to me for that matter. And I want to get the job done.
Be ready to change yourself. Be ready to challenge your better self. Know that your mind can develop a passionate winning spirit, but not by yourself. We guarantee your family in love with your life, and you're gonna love all the grind. Lewis and Barish together, we develop your mindset with vitamin C for your mind. Don't you settle with what you know. There's much to learn, there's much to earn. Tell yourself I'm ready to fight, ready to be heard. Out of success and awakening rise. There's so many words that turn into prices. Be ready to change for the best. Step up and be great. Don't be like the rest. Develop your mindset.
Hi everyone, welcome back. We're here another Saturday. The setting is a little bit different because during COVID I've watched a lot of how to build your own studio where you're more comfortable. So we have a lot of plan. Hopefully next week we'll get a new studio set up and we'll be doing it a little bit differently. Luis and I, we're going to be talking to you guys a little bit of motivation because we feel like this week was hectic, intense, and we all going through a lot. So motivation is going to be great for the topic.
It's so exciting to be back in the office and to be able to do this podcast here in the office. We've been doing the podcast through Instagram Live and through other means. And it hasn't been it's still great, it's still a new experience and everything, so it was still fun, but there's nothing like being in the office and being able to set up everything and have the best equipment that we can have here and the best audio quality and experience overall, to be able to deliver this content. So it's good to be back, and I think today's topic is going to be amazing. I can completely relate with it, and I can't wait to share what I know about this topic and really help out a lot of people out there.
So first is we want to talk about motivation. So first question, your conversation should be only about future motivated. So yes, a lot of us, we found ourselves that we are talking everything we're gonna do in the future, that kind of thing, and it should be motivated, inspired, future, viewing your future towards. And anything doesn't make you feel good, or when you get to in that future, you should basically not use those words. So I would say it's a word chess. So how are you playing your game? And what results you're getting out of it. So I dropped this long time ago, but before long time ago I used to not be very motivated, very looking, what is the word, like using a lot of negative words, and that's not going to help. That never helped me to stay motivated or be motivated to build my future in more motivated state. So I had to teach myself and learn how to not use these words, and believe me, you can do it. If that's what you're after, it's easy. Start writing everything down, follow yourself, study yourself, your pattern and your mind, what it's doing. We all have mind. Our minds are doing what it's doing, because later on we're going to be talking a lot about blueprint, but whatever is in your mind, that's how you talk, and then you can change it. If you guys not familiar with neurons, there is your brain is plastic. You can change your neurons, you can switch them around, everything like that. So if you guys not familiar, go do some research on that. So basically future is coming. It's very important. stay motivated?
As far as like conversations go, for sure, yes. I think your vocabulary, the vocabulary that you use with yourself and with other people, will definitely influence your actions ultimately, because you see, if your conversations and your communication at the end of the day isn't ultimately leading anywhere, then you're just, conversing for the moment and not really thinking about like what do you have in mind. It definitely helps out. Like I've personally gone through this too. Like in the past, I would just have conversations that weren't very motivating. They weren't really future based. They were just more like, oh, what are we gonna do tonight or something, or in the afternoon, and it just sort of ended there, But now, like, I'm always thinking about like years ahead, like what actions can I take today? How can I speak today? What kind of words do I have to use in order for me to be able to accomplish what I want to accomplish in the future? So definitely, it's super important that you're very conscious and aware of the conversations that you're having right now with yourself and with the people around you.
Agreeing to do it is not the same as doing it. So a lot of time we listen to each other, we kind of agree, yes, that's we nod our head, that's the right thing to do, I should do it and everything. But it's not the same as doing it. So basically, if you find yourself in that kind of transitional space where a lot of us so many times we find ourselves like we want to do it but we're not doing it because we don't know how to do it, we don't understand. When you're in that stage, there is a lot of help out there, and you can actually look for it, seek, and you can find it. A lot of it is you can find it online if you start asking the right question. A lot of it you can find on YouTube. You can ask the right questions and you can find a lot of videos about it. So also other stages are find the right people to associate with and all that kind of thing. So it's not the same. If you want to stay motivated, you better start thinking motivated, start doing motivated things, and also looking for motivated content.
Agreeing is a part of confirming something, but you see, there isn't any action really involved in just agreeing with something or someone. So always when you agree to do something, make sure you actually do it. You follow up with whatever it is that you're agreeing to do, because here's the thing, like if you're not doing it, then you're eventually going to start developing a habit for what you're going to do after you agree to something. And the habit that you want to have in place, that you want to develop, is the habit of you agreeing to something and then actually going out there and actually doing it, because that's really how results are produced. That's really how anything really happens in this world, is with action. So if there's no action involved, then just agreeing in of itself has really no value. Anybody can really agree to anything, and that's just the easy part. The hard part is actually putting in the hours, putting in the work and the sacrifice, and really going through that struggle that's going to make it happen. So make sure that you have a very core understanding of what the difference is between agreeing to something and actually doing it.
If you're good at something, doesn't mean that you cannot get good at in other things. I had a little conversation this week with a really smart guy. It's a friend, and that sparked me into this this kind of talk. And this is very, very new. What I'm trying to say here is, if you're good at something, you're doing it for a long time, and you have a lot of reasons to do what you're doing, and those reasons are keeping you from doing something else, doesn't mean that you can't do something else. So if you find yourself in that kind of predicament, in that situation, in that place, you have to remember that you can do other things too. Don't stay there being stagnant for like years. Could go by, and then those years you cannot bring it back. My recommendation would be like start doing something, start studying something new, start doing the next thing that's going to help, that you can actually do simultaneous with what you're good at already. You're making a living out of it, or whatever you're doing with that time. So it's a reminder for all of us, for me too, that I could be doing something else. Just because I'm so busy doing this one thing that I'm so good at doesn't mean that I shouldn't do something else, or I can't do something else, or I shouldn't even convince myself or talk to myself not doing it. That's not how it's gonna be. So many times I've changed companies and clients and designs and ideas. The market changed, so many things happened. I aged and it was different. I think different. My body works differently. You just have to always adapt to the next thing. But if you do it with knowingly adapting yourself to the next thing, you are always ahead of your limitations.
If you're already good at something, it doesn't mean that you can't get good at other things. Like, you have a lot of potential for sure, and I don't think you should really hold that back. Like, if you feel like you can improve in another area, you should definitely go and give it a shot. I mean, if you have the luxury, of course. Now, I think the only exception to this would be if you already found like the one thing that you want to do, and you're going full at it, and you have this vision, and you just you're pretty much scoping out all the other alternatives, and you're just going full at it at this one particular thing. Then I think it's a great idea that you just focus on that. But if you're still in the lookout, you're trying to find something that you really love to do, then definitely, like, if you find something that you're already good at, definitely try to do something else. And here's the thing, like, you could always like combine things, and maybe you get good at this one particular thing or this other thing, and so you can use skills that you've learned in those two areas, whether it's the actual skill itself, or maybe it's the process that you went through in order to learn that one thing. So, and then you got good at that one thing. So, it's amazing. And I think you should definitely, as a human being, you have all this potential. So why waste it? Like, just think about like how many people there's out there who don't have that luxury. They don't have what it takes to be able to get better at other things, and they don't have that awareness. Maybe they're not physically able to do it. So take advantage of your life right now. Take advantage of the opportunity that you have in order to be able to do this.
Agreeing that you can be better and being afraid to changing will hold you back. Basically, we hear this a lot. I hear it a lot. I used to be this person. I always wanted to be better. I always had, daydreams how I'm gonna be this person. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do it a lot better than how I do today. All those daydreaming, but being afraid to the change, to take action, to like change actually, was holding me back. And once I learned that actually not doing something is creating the state of fear, that's where I start taking action. It doesn't matter if you're like really good at something, but you do understand, of course, you understand that thing, but you're pretty good. You have to take the action so you can see if that's gonna, if you're any good at it. If you're gonna like it, you want to continue your study or your like what you're doing, and if it interests you also. So if you don't do all those things, it's holding you back. What's holding you back is the fear of starting to just doing it. So just because you agree on that you're good at something and you're actually not doing, this is the pattern. This is what happens. So I hope I could put this in perspective where you guys can understand. It took me a very long time to understand this, and once I did, I started taking a lot of action. Not to say every action I took I was successful in it, but definitely it helped me to go towards a success. So people went before you, carved the trail, and it's easier because you follow these people. You can kind of see the pattern, the trail that they built it. So you have to kind of like look at people before you took this kind of action, and the fear disappeared, and then they were able to achieve things that they were seeking for, going after. So if you don't do this, the fear is holding you back.
Here's the thing, like there's just no way around it. Like if you want to become better, you're gonna have to change, and part of change involves really leaving a lot of old habits behind, leaving friends behind, maybe family members you gotta leave them behind. There's a lot involved in just becoming better, because you just can't do it if you continue to be the same person who you are right now. You can't adopt like new ways of being. You can't just improve, be better, get better at whatever it is that you're doing right now. You can't move forward in your path if you continue to do the same things, because what you're currently doing right now has gotten you to where you are right now. So in order for you to advance,
Sure.
you're gonna have to adopt new habits, new strategies, new techniques. You're gonna have to go to new environments. You're gonna have to watch new content. You're gonna have to talk to new people, and it's just everything. Your entire paradigm is gonna change. And like you said, there's already people who have done this before you, so it's not like it's that hard anymore. It's not like you have to go and figure everything out on your own. There's help. You can either go for help online, or you can go for help in person. You can go to the library. You can get books online. You can do so many things. There's just so many ways that you can get the information that you need in order for you to start applying it. But you need to have the will to actually change, and really the courage, because that's really what it comes down to. You gotta have the courage to go out there and make a change, and be willing to sacrifice, like what you currently have right now, as comfortable as it may seem right now. You just have to sacrifice that comfort, and it may seem a little crazy at first, because you're like, why would I want to change this if it's already comfortable? I feel good already, like I'm happy. Like why would I want to go and pursue some journey that's full of struggle and pain, and I'm gonna have to stay up late working and stuff? Like why would I want to do such a thing? So like at the core, the main reason why you're doing this is ultimately because you want to become better. And that's really the mindset that I've adopted actually for the past for the past year. I've really engraved that into myself, and I'm always like constantly looking for to put myself in uncomfortable situations. When things get a little comfortable, I start to get a little afraid, and I'm like, oh no, like I'm getting stuck somewhere, so I gotta get out. So then I seek that uncomfort.
That's how it goes, man. You when you push it, when you just go places that you've never been in your mind or in your journey, you get sometimes hold back from not knowing, and that's where the fear kicks in anyways.
Yeah.
You gotta just do it, and then look for people that have done it before you.
For sure.
This is how it works. The time you lose not coming back, no one's coming. Guys, I cannot stress enough. You have to understand. You have to know. You fall, you break your arm, you're gonna feel the pain. You lose something, it's your loss. You lost it. If everything happens to you, you're gonna pay for it. You're gonna suffer. If it's a good thing, you're gonna reap the rewards, and you're gonna gain the wins and all that. So when I say no one's coming, seriously, no one's coming. You have to get this through your head. You have to have this mindset where I gotta do what I have to do, and I gotta push myself when I feel exhausted, tired, and I'm gotta push even more. So when I say no one's coming, that means until you fall asleep, your eyes closed, you gotta go, and then when you wake up in the morning, you continue where you left off, and that's when you start seeing change. That's when you start seeing some new things happening, new things coming to you. Otherwise, the same old thing will happen all over, every day, every month, every year, the same thing over and over. Next thing you know, you're exhausted, tired, you're depressed, and that's how. So please engrave this in your mind that no one's coming. So this is something I believe in cold-heartedly, and this wasn't just a belief I adopted. I actually lived it, and I put a word to it, a saying to it, and I can't stress it enough. I always want to talk about this. Most likely you guys hear me say this in every podcast, but because it's so true. So the time you lose not coming back, and no one's coming. So don't lose any time. Keep on pushing yourself. Don't worry about failures. It's part of winning, and no one's coming.
No one's coming. Very simple phrase, but it's very powerful, because a lot of us, like, if you're not in that like headspace where you're very self-reliant, independent, and you realize that if you want a dream to happen, you're gonna have to go out there and take action for yourself. If you don't realize that, then you're gonna be holding yourself back like a lot, like, because you're gonna be in this place where you might push, but you're only gonna push to a certain point, and then when you reach to that point, you're gonna be like, oh, maybe I should wait for somebody to come and like help me out, or to, assist me in some way. And the thing is that person may or may not come, and you can't be relying on situations like those. So you have to assimilate the idea and really the reality that no one's gonna come, man. Like, you have to, either you go out there, you go and you take action, or you don't. You just can't be waiting for somebody. Like, I personally like kind of embraced this like maybe a couple months ago, actually, where this really actually clicked. It was just like right before this the whole coronavirus thing started, but like it just sort of clicked, like something just clicked at that point. I was like, you know what, like you just gotta take action, man, and just do it, and it doesn't matter. Like, sure, like at first you may not be as good, as proficient, but it doesn't matter, because what matters is that you're taking action, and that you're taking the initiative, and that you're performing to some extent, and that's really the idea here, the habit that you want to build. Eventually you're going to get better because of repetition and consistent practice and education, but that habit itself is already good enough, and that should keep you going forward.
The key word is habit. You said it.
Yeah.
What is habit? The way I see myself. I look at the mirror, I see myself. I'm a runner. It's my habit. If someone tells you where are you going, what are you doing, I'm gonna run. Why are you gonna run? Because I'm a runner. So when you start doing this, you start seeing yourself. You are that person. You're action taking person. You don't wait for anybody.
Exactly.
No one's coming to tell you, come on, do it. Like, no, it's not. You just you go do it.
That's right.
And then you turn around, you say, I did it. This is what the result is. We're like, oh, try it this way, maybe. People give you some ideas, opinions, but whatever.
Yeah.
Take it or not. So having friends and family support is great, but you have to develop yourself. So many times people have support. They're doing minimum, but a lot is getting done, and the support is amazing, it's beautiful. But then again, like it falls down to what you're doing, taking action, and what you're bringing to the table. Can you imagine, like, if those guys are helping you, and plus you're pushing yourself to the limit and bringing so much more on the table, then so much more is happening now, and if you want something better to happen, to get out of your situation, to like don't be complacent, like if you're good at writing your invoices, if you're good at knowing everything about your company, doesn't mean that you cannot do more. We all can do so much more. It's a little bit of education. When I get home, I don't watch TV, I don't relax. All I do is I do studying, and sometimes I understand a lot, sometimes I don't. It doesn't matter. Like, so it's not the same every day, but I don't break the habit of not doing it. Education never goes away. It's gonna be. One of the things I learned to tell my son is like, what school's teaching you not enough. You gotta do outside education, and the education will never stop. It doesn't matter where you reach in your life. And so basically, it's part of it. Bring in more to the table. Don't wait for your family to give you space to go and perform and do like really great things. That's great. That's amazing. Friend, family, brother, sister gives you space, but then again, develop yourself to do so much more.
Support is great, but I actually try not to look at support too much, because sometimes support has actually held me back in the past. Like, as soon as I feel like I have all this support and people, they praise me, they tell me good job, this, that, I start to get a little complacent and start to settle a little bit when I start to hear these things. So I love the support. I mean, it's not like I reject it, but at the same time, I just don't get too sucked into it, because I know where I'm going. I know that what I have done is good, but it's not the end result. It's not the vision, it's not the purpose. So I understand that I accomplished something good, something great, but I recognize that there's still more to be done, and possibly even harder things to be done. And so I always try to focus on that. I always try to focus on the action taking, on what has to be done, in order for my purpose to be achieved, and not so much on the support and everything that I'm getting. But of course, that's always appreciated. That's always great to have it, but don't think that you need it, in order for you to advance. I think it's great to have it there. You can pretty much treat it as a bonus, but ultimately what really counts is you developing yourself, and you putting in that work, and you doing what you have to do. That's really what you should feel happy for. That's really what you should feel excited for, the action that you're taking. You shouldn't feel excited mainly for the support that you're getting, but mainly for the actions that you're taking.
What is ethics? Why do you need to be ruthless and relentless? So 3 different things here, and 3 completely different frame of mind. Ethics, we all have ethics. We all believe in family, friends. Maybe it's the 10 commandments. Maybe it's about the family is the most important to you, so your ethics is different. Maybe you want to go help and create communities and create a church, create whatever you want to create. Your ethics a little bit change. So everyone especially when you build these things, now you have to keep them and keep them growing, keep them thriving. So sometimes you have to make decisions where you're not too comfortable doing it, but also that's when the ethic comes in. If you feel really content with that decision, it makes you feel it. You feel okay, you feel good at doing it, then that's your ethic. Maybe somebody else will argue that that was a mean thing to do, but but you're in your line of ethics, maybe that's not a mean thing to do. That's means of surviving. So I just wanted to explain this ethic, what this is. Also, why you need to be ruthless and relentless, because you have to be ruthless to keep something that you've created. You can't be willy-nilly, just really, easy going, and then somebody else will come and take your idea and then go start kicking your ass. That's not gonna. So you have to be a little bit ruthless there, and then relentless. You have to be relentless to keep something always going. You cannot just kick back because somebody else is working more than you, creating more than you, putting more effort in more than you, and then those guys gonna be ahead of you. You're gonna be left behind in the smoke. And so basically, stay motivated, stay hungry, stay going. So this is where it's a kind of transition now into being the better version of you, creating the better version of what you had since yesterday. Make sure you understand what your ethics are. Don't break any law or rule or someone, and be ruthless in keeping what you have, but hopefully not you know, destroying any relations and that kind of thing, and be relentless. Don't settle, don't give up, you know, find that motivation, keep on going, don't settle.
I can completely relate to this one actually, and like I'm gonna give the example of just working here, because you see my ethics are like in place, you know, like I completely respect Baruch and everybody who works here. But when I get into my job and I start working, you may have noticed this, and probably everybody does, but I get pretty serious and I get pretty just focused.
I respect it.
And like I'm just like, I have this really relentless attitude where like I don't want nobody like bothering me or interrupting me or like talking to me for that matter. And when you see me sitting there, you might think that, oh, you know, this is a serious guy, like he's pissed off or like, you know, something like that. But the thing is that I'm actually in that zone, you know, where I'm like, I'm focused and like, you know, I want to get the job done, and I want to do it as best as I can, you know. And for me to be able to do that, I have to really focus and devote my entire attention to the craft. Because if I don't, then if I start like talking and joking around and start like doing other things and start letting like distractions take over, then I'm not able to really get into that zone where I can be relentless and really ruthless and bring out like the best out of me, because my attention is all over the place. So I definitely I recommend that you really do that. Like, of course, you know, have your ethics and have, you know, let people know what's going on as well, you know. But at the end of the day, you always want to go your way and, you know, do what you need to do in order to get the job done, whether people around you like it or not. You know, if people around you are telling you like, hey, why you get so serious, why you don't talk, you know. and I get that from my coworker here. She's always telling me, like, trying to like you know, distract me or get me to like say something and everything, and like I have to ignore her sometimes. but like I mean, it's not intentional. It's not like I don't like her or that I hate her, but it's just that I can't be doing those things if I want to focus and actually get the job done. Don't think you're like a bad person for doing that. It's just what you need to do. If this is you and you need to do that, you need to put yourself in that zone that way, then do it.
Okay, this word, if you guys haven't heard this word, pay attention. This word is such an important part of our structure. What is your blueprint belief system? Your core understanding of who you are. So, what is blueprint? We all have blueprints. Old days, when they were building a building or a house, they had the blueprint. They knew exactly how many feet, how many walls, how high, how long, whatever material was gonna go, how much money was gonna take, you know, how many people was gonna work on this project, and how many days was gonna take. This is the blueprint. Like, so we all have blueprints. Where does the blueprint comes? It comes from. It takes time. It comes from time. It comes from when you were born, when you didn't understand anything, when you didn't know how to talk, when you didn't know how to walk. You know, the blueprint was embedded in you. Whatever you saw, that became your blueprint, your belief systems, your understanding, your patience, your way of laughing, talking, believing, and making decisions, everything. So pay attention to your blueprint. Learn about you, study you. Who are you? What is missing? How much work it's going to take for you to change this one part of you that it's not serving you any good? Also, what is missing? What is the missing link, missing point where you can make your blueprint such even so much better? That's why there are people out there, they have $1 billion, they lose $1 billion, and then they make their $1 billion next year.
Yeah.
And believe me, they don't even make more, 2 billion, they make only 1 billion, because their blueprint is $1 billion. I mean, I've studied this. There are people, they have 100 million, they lose their $100 million. 3 years later, they have $100 million. They don't have 110 million. It's insane. Like, you know, like, what is our blueprint? By the way, this is not only for, it's not only, I'm talking about money. It's everything. It's relationships, about talking to yourself, seeing to yourself who you are, how capable are you? These are all belief systems, and goes on and on and on and on, where this is your blueprint.
Understanding your blueprint will definitely help you out, like as far as like everything goes, you know, like you said, this applies to every single part of your life, you know, everything from relationships, your business, or maybe the place you work at, your friendships, your relationship with your family, everything, you know, it affects really everything. And this isn't something that's really easy to really develop and understand, because there's a lot of self-introspection that you're gonna have to do, a lot of just looking at your own experiences and really breaking them down. And you know, this might be easy when those experiences were great experiences, but then it gets very hard when these are like emotional, heartbreaking, really like sensitive type of experiences, you know. But you have to go back there and actually break those down and analyze them and learn about yourself that way. Your blueprint, you know, it has the full spectrum, you know. You're not just focusing on a specific part of yourself, and you're only focusing on showing people like that, only that part of yourself, because then you're really limiting yourself as to what you can do and the possibilities that can come from you. You see, I put this into play like really hardcore during this whole this whole pandemic time right now. And like, I really took the time to really think about like having that introspection and really thinking about like who I am. And I went back to those experiences. Some of them were very painful, but I still went back there, and I still, you know, I broke myself down to some degree, but then I rebuilt myself because I understood what happened. And now because of that, now I feel like I feel more relieved. I feel like a better person, and a little bit more changed. And I feel like I can even bring out, you know, parts of me that I couldn't back in the day, because I was ignoring those parts of myself because I didn't want to go back there. But now, like, I'm a little bit more liberated, so now I can bring that out. And that's how you really and this takes time, you know. I still feel like I could even bring out even more. So like, your blueprint is something that really, like, you'll be developing as the days go by. But the more awareness you gain over it, the faster you'll be able to really you know, get to that. And once you're able to decipher your full blueprint, then that's when you'll really be able to channel everything of yourself to whatever it is that you want to devote your entire life to, whatever your purpose is.
It comes from understanding, and understanding, it takes a little bit of time. Sometimes you have to hear it from somebody. Sometimes you have to hear it from internal. You know, other times you hear it on TV or something, and then you're like, wait a minute, like, what did he say? You know, and then you come home and start thinking about it, and then one day it clicks. Like, shit.
For sure, you know?
Yeah. Fear and stress is the opposite of motivation. So fear and expectations does not allow you to move forward. When you're trying to achieve something and you have expectations, and then you know you can do it, and then you're not doing it, you're very easy going, you know, in your most comfortable environment, where there could be your family or your friends, or this one nice company paying you pretty nice, or you're doing this one design making you a lot of money, and you're just relaxed, and you're afraid that you're gonna break the pattern or something, and you're not re-educating yourself further to become more valuable in this company, or you're not developing new idea. So when this design stops, everything has a limit. Somebody else comes out with something better, you're out of the game, you're not making any money anymore, you're probably gonna lose your company now. But if you're working so hard towards always coming up with the new idea, new concept, new developing yourself, developing the product, developing the company, now you know, you are in a much better place than if you're not doing it. You know, there's no guarantees in life, but you gotta push yourself to put yourself in a front line, somewhere, and hopefully that's a good place to be. And also there's the balance of this. This is it gets pretty intense. You have to pay a little bit of attention to yourself also, like what you eat, your exercise, take care of your family if you have family, go out dates with your wife, with your kid, do it often, just sometimes pick up the phone and say hello to someone that it's important, like your cousin, someone you really respect and you love. When I don't have time, the other day I was doing my study, it was 11:30 at night, then I remembered, I took out my phone and I'm like, I love you, text, 2 simple words, and then I received back, I love you too, and then emoji, and that's important. You got to keep the balance between all this. Sometimes it gets chaotic, so you have to keep the balance, but also don't forget to get out of your stress and fear stage. You always have to be creating, developing.
I think I've said this in previous podcasts that like fear and stress and all these emotions are sort of like inevitable. Like they'll come into your life no matter what. So you have to learn how to deal with them. That's really how you really process those emotions and not let them get in the way and hold you back from achieving what you want to achieve. So definitely with fear, what my recommendation is always to take action. Take whatever action that's really necessary in order for that fear to dissipate, because you see, fear will always be there, and there's really no way you can like trick your mind out of it until you actually go out there and you actually take action and you do whatever it is that you fear to do. So you have to go out there and just take that action, and then once you take action, that's when the fear will sort of like dissipate. And then with stress, there's a lot of things that you can do in order to manage the stress, but that's something that will come natural to you as well, because if you're pushing yourself, you're constantly grinding, you're constantly doing things, you're constantly doing hard work, stress is going to come into your life at some point. So you have to learn how to manage that. And it can be something as simple as he said, send some texts or talk to a friend, or I don't know, do some fun activity that you like to do, or anything that really helps you diminish the stress. But you don't want to completely kill it, like to the point where all you're really doing is just distracting yourself and doing things that are throwing you off your purpose either. It's still good to have a healthy amount of stress. That way you're still in that
True.
zone where you're taking action and you're not becoming complacent, because when there's no stress, then there's really no reason to take action at that point. Definitely learn how to manage those emotions so that you're still able to achieve those expectations and make the change in your life that you want.
Learning is not the solution, it is the practice. If you don't use it, you lose it. As an example, something you learned long time ago, like a language, like something you learned you're so good at, but you don't use it, you lose it. Slowly it will start diminishing. That's how the brain works, right? So it's kind of the same, but one thing is very, very important here to understand is learning is not the solution, it is the practice. So when you're always learning, studying, you're trying, it's the practice, it's not the success. To succeed, you have to always do it. So learning is the practice. Practicing is it's gonna take you to success. If you stop learning, you are not practicing it, you lose it. Like a language. When I came to U.S. From Beirut, Lebanon, I spoke really good Arabic, and that was 38 years ago. And today I know a few words here and there, and I don't remember the freaking language. And I spoke the language. I know I can speak the language, but without speaking it, you lose it. Practice until you get to winning.
Every time you learn something, yeah, you have to consistently like do it, even if it's not at the same like level, like all the way up there, but you have to continue doing it consistently, or else, yeah, if you don't use it, you'll lose it. An example that I have was making origami figures. Because you guys don't know what origami is, it's pretty much you just learn how to fold paper in a way where you can create shapes and animals and hearts and stuff like that. So I used to be really good at that. Like I could make a dinosaur like out of paper, like just printer paper. I could make an entire dinosaur, and I knew how to do that by memory. Like I could just fold everything and it would look really nice. I can't do that no more because I haven't done that like in years. I mean, of course, you know, if I went back to it, it would probably be pretty easy to get that back, sure. But at this point, I
lost the practice.
I really lost the practice. Like, but at the time, I was doing it consistently. I was making paper figures like every single day, and I would push myself like to make a better one, a more complicated one every single day. At some point, I was called the master of that, you know, of origami, because I could like make like pretty much anything. But yeah, you definitely have to do it every day if you want it to, you know, stick with you.
Awesome. That was really good. I didn't know about that. I just found out. So we understand that we have to have the balance. We have to have remove the fear, stress. We have to, like you said, we have to have a little bit of stress. Also, there are a lot of other variations you guys following. I'm sure you're understanding what we're talking about here. What the next level is. When you talk about stuff like shit, you talk about shit, it's a dream. Like, I want to be this, I want to buy this car, I want to do that, right? Winning, when you have a vision, it is exciting, right? Vision is exciting. When you do planning, it is possible. When it's scheduled, it is real. So basically, what we were talking about here, it comes down to schedule. Schedule yourself. Put a time. Put a date. Put indefinite time where you're working hard. It does, like when last year, if you guys saw one of our podcasts, when I come back from Tucson, the show that we attended. The company had a booth and everything. So this falls under that category. Indefinite, we had a date where we were committed that we were going to go to Tucson to this show, and then it was going to take this many designs, this many people, this much money, this much effort, and we were going to drive this far, and then there was the booth number, and there was so if you want to achieve something, you have to schedule yourself indefinite.
I hear this a lot, like actually, like to the point where I'm starting to find it a little bit annoying, where people just start talking about like this, that, and I'm just like, okay, like what have you done about it, you know? Because I myself am more of I'm actually more of an action person than I am of a communication person. So I like to do more than I actually say, and the thing is that, you know, that works out for me. And I actually kind of thought about this like in the past month. I actually realized this when I was doing my introspection. I was like, you know what, actually, because I would think that would be the right thing, you know, to like just talk, you know, like I thought that was like the right thing to do for some reason. But then I was like, I started to think about it, because like I was like, I don't know, like for some reason I just don't like talking about like stuff. And if I am gonna talk about stuff, it's gonna be about stuff I did, something that's done, or something that's about to be done, you know. But like not just talking about dreams and wishes and stuff like that. That to me is like, you know, it's cool, whatever, but you know, keep it short and then go take action, you know. But like visions, of course, they're exciting because, you know, it has to be. Of course, that's you know, keeping in mind that you were the one who developed that vision for yourself, and it's very personal. Of course, it's going to be very exciting. and you have to plan. As soon as you have that vision, you got to plan it, and you have to schedule it, in order to make it real. Take, for example, this podcast already has its schedule, and it has its own time that it's going to be released, and it has I've scheduled a lot of things in order for this podcast to be out there and to get the word out there that this podcast exists, and now it's real and it's happening, and it's gonna be awesome, so so it's always far more exciting when you have that schedule. Sure, it's hard work. I'm not gonna say it was easy. This week was it was pretty intense. It was pretty hard to get this whole thing going, but at the end, I feel good about it, and I feel like it's gonna be great. So
when you want to do something, you must do. There's no way around it. When you hesitate, you give in to fear. So basically here, in reverse, hesitation is fear state. What if I do it and I don't succeed? What if I do it and people will laugh at me? What if I do it and I fail, and what are people gonna say about me? If it's better, maybe I don't do it, and that keeps you hesitating, into taking action, doing it. You don't become doer now. You become hesitated person, right?
Yeah.
So earlier we talked about fear. This is another way of talking about this, because we're talking about motivation today. So stay motivated, stay focused, be a doer. So if you hesitate, that's a fear state. You are hesitating. You're not doing because you're afraid of something. Figure out what are you afraid of. Write stuff down. Today I didn't do this because I felt like whatever that is. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. I didn't call. I thought maybe if I called, I didn't know how to say, how to start the conversation. Write this stuff down. Figure out what is the fear. What is the thing stopping you.
When you want to do something, you definitely got to go out there and do it. And because if you prolong it, usually as soon as you want to do something and you don't do it, it's usually because of fear. And so the more you prolong it, the more you wait for you to do it, the fear starts getting a little bit stronger and stronger as more time passes by, because you're allowing that fear to really become stronger. You're feeding that fear in order for it to become even stronger. And so the only way to stop feeding that fear is to really take action. Like I said previously, you got to take action. You got to do whatever it is that you want to do in order for that fear to just go away and stop getting stronger. And sometimes it will be hard, and sometimes you will give into it for a while, but make sure that you don't give into it too long. So maybe try to cut it as short as possible. If fear is something that's very hard for you to deal with, just minimize the amount of time that you take from wanting to do something to actually doing it. The more you shorten that time, the more it'll be easier for you to deal with that fear and be able to take action despite it being there.
If you're motivated and you want to do something amazing, and you're confused, you don't know what to do, how to do it, so this is something it's important to keep in mind, which is when you're motivated, don't get advice from friends and people like-minded like you. Especially when you want to do something amazing, something bigger than you, something you haven't done before. Don't just talk people as much as you understand and they understand, and going back and forth not gonna get you to the next level, because they haven't done it, you haven't done it. You probably have to talk to someone that has done it, and then ask them the questions, and then you're gonna receive the right answers. Basically, instead of losing 1.5 years until you find out that you shouldn't do this, you should have done it this way. Maybe that person could tell you in 1.5 minutes. Your 1.5 year turns into 1.5 minutes, and you're on your way. So that's what I'm trying to say here. Get help from basically outstanding achievers, people that you look up to, where it's even if it's virtual or in real life. Real life is better, of course, but virtual is as good as sometimes real life, where you could do a course online, or you could get a coach online. That coach could be in another country, but coaching you, telling you stuff that you need to look into, and then you're not doing it, you should do it, and all that kind of thing. But basically, that's what it is. If you are excited, you want to create something important, amazing, don't just be like confined with people that you're very comfortable with, conversing and talking to them, and then you're comfortable asking them all these questions. They're giving you their peace of mind, their advice, but in reality they haven't achieved that whatever you're trying to achieve. So be careful with that, and then if you so you don't kill your motivation.
I can probably mention a couple of people, off the top of my mind, but I personally never really had a problem with this. Like I let my friends talk and everything, and they try to give me advice, but like I actually studied advice, and I even wrote a book. My latest book, it talks about advice and how to stop getting bad advice, and I kind of in that book I break down like the places where bad advice comes from. This is basically one of the places that you don't want to do it. Like you definitely want to be getting your advice from somebody who's done it, and somebody who's been through these same experiences that you have and has overcame them. It's got to be someone who inspires you as well to become somebody like them and stuff. And so definitely, like, if your friends might be good people and everything, I'm not saying that they're not, and they may even have good intentions with giving you advice and everything, but at the end of the day, like, they just don't have the information, they just don't have the experience to really back up what they're saying. So at the end of the day, it's pretty much advice that you could have came up with in your own head if you really think about it. So get advice from people you look up to and people who inspire you to become better, whether that's like we said, it's whether that's virtual through like YouTube, through online courses, or if you're able to find someone in person, go and follow their lead.
Sometimes experience, like I said, it buys you years of agony, hardship, and disappointments, and no success. Just one advice, unbelievable. I've got advices like that. I have in my mind, I live off of hundreds and hundreds of advices, old, new, heard and seen. Have a standard. Be result oriented. Don't settle. Develop skills, and you must look for master or coach. So have a standard. Is don't settle for like little small things. We don't have 5 lifetimes. We got only one, and that's we all know it's very short, very fast going. Don't waste your time. So your standard should keep you from doing all this nonsense. And result oriented. If something's not giving you result, motivation has its own energy, power, where you have to pay attention. If it's not giving you any results, don't stay motivated. There's this thing that I learned many years ago. I had a manager where he was really good, but he was a little bit dummy, and I motivated him, and afterwards, when everything went to the oblivion, I learned that if you motivate a dummy, you're gonna have motivated dummy in your hand, and that was something it was awakening for me. And so be careful, be result oriented. Also, don't settle. Just always keep on finding the better, whatever you're doing. Develop skills as you need it. Must look for master or coach. Sometimes you go for a master, and that master will tell you, you do it, you turn it this way, and it's done, and that's it. That's what it takes. Or a coach would tell you, don't read this kind of books and read this, because I feel like you're lacking here, and then that's all it takes. You read these 2 more books, done. So basically, don't motivate dummies. You're gonna have motivated dummy in your hands to deal with.
Definitely, you gotta have a self-made standards because
Yeah.
like you said, no one's coming to tell you what your standards should be. You're gonna have to develop those on your own, and you really craft those standards based on like how big your vision is, how big your dream is. Depending on how big it is, that's how big your standards are gonna be as well. And of course, those standards will produce specific results, and of course you want to have those aligned. So if you want big results, you're gonna have to have big standards for yourself, because these can't be out of proportion. You can't have low standards and expect big results. That's not gonna happen. Both have to be high if you want
Sure.
if you want something to happen.
High standards.
And so definitely don't settle on developing your skills, because like you said, there's always something more to learn. But of course, you're never gonna know that if you stay ignorant or you stay complacent in whatever your current skill level is right now. You may be thinking that you're already good, you're already great. You don't need to improve. You've already got a comfortable life going.
If I'm studying more than you to become better than you, where that leaves you?
Yeah.
Right?
And so you have to constantly be educating yourself. This is actually in the book that we're currently in the process of writing, which is the 10 stages to skill mastery. That's gonna come out soon. But in that book, you'll learn like how to actually find a master and how to go through that entire process to master a skill, which was I wrote the book, but it was inspired on Varej's life journey of becoming a master jeweler. And so in that book, you'll learn what it takes to really always continue to improve, and that's really the emphasis in those stages, to always continue to grow, always continue to look for different ways to do it faster, the ways to make it more effective, more convenient, and so definitely you always got to be doing that, because there's always somebody else who's going to want to do it even better than you. And so this is really a competition. That's how you got to treat it, as a competitive sort of mindset.
Look out for that book. It's coming soon. We are in the midst of a lot of projects. We're working on a lot of stuff, like books, like motivational videos, like doing intros, a lot of inspirational videos. We're working on creating our studio. We're always looking to look better, to be better, to do better work, to put our work out there, to share our knowledge, to be out there more. Prime yourself. That means how do you start your day? When you open your eyes, where you are, what you do. We hear all this, like broken information out there about this, and priming is very important. It's dialing in from morning, because that's where you have the most energy. That's where you're most relaxed. That's where everything left your mind. Hopefully. And if you could do that, that's great, because that's where you need to be. Keep the momentum going throughout the day. So priming is the word here, and keeping the momentum is of course very important. But priming, this is a little example. Sometimes I wake up 3 a.m. in the morning, 4 a.m. in the morning. I feel like I find those hours are the most energetic moments. Like you are connected, and nothing is disturbing you, such as car noise, motor noise, noise pollution itself. It's the list in the air. There's no one walking around. You don't feel the energy of a lot of beings moving around. You are the most connected with cosmos, with what we are, where we come from and where we go. A lot of people know it as religion and so on. And, this is the best way to put it. When those hours are, you're the most connected with the cosmos, with the source. So those are the moments where you can prime yourself. What I do is I wake up, I tap into my YouTube, and I find all this I am, all this motivations, all this. So I put it and I listen to them, and I have my favorites, and they keep me, they prime me, they get me thinking that way. When I open my eyes after a few hours, sometimes I fall asleep, back asleep, and then when I open my eyes, I am primed, I'm going, I know what to do. Today is about I am making a lot of money. It's about I am designing my best design. Today I am going to be the best boss. I'm going to be, and prime yourself. And then throughout the day, you're gonna use that momentum, that thing.
Whatever habit or anything that you decide to do, before you start your day, it should be in that positive mindset. Like there should be some sort of activity that you implement in order to have a positive framework, throughout the day. And so, for me, what I do is that I listen to motivational content in the morning. It could be about business, it could be about success, it could be about understanding something of editing or something. But I actually like to pick something that's actually kind of complicated, just because it gets me thinking right away, early in the morning. It gets everything activated, and I like to start off with something that's complicated, because if I start the day off with something that's really easy to understand, it sort of puts me in a mindset where I just want to
Primes you.
I just want to do easy things and mellow things throughout the entire day. But when I study something complicated, it forces me to really start thinking about it and start putting things together. And then now I'm sort of ready to really do that for the rest of the day and stuff. So definitely have the discipline as well, to do it, because there will be days where you just don't feel like doing something like that. And so you have to do it anyway, because you know the result, you know what it's going to do. And so you just got to do it and learn how to manage your emotions, so that they don't get in the way of you doing what you have to do in order to get that momentum, so you get it going throughout the day.
To keep yourself motivated, you must always develop your mindset. So must is must, and there's no argument over there, and there's no giving and take. You must do it. You must develop your mindset towards staying positive, staying motivated. This is what it's gonna take.
The sense of growth, the sense that you're advancing, that you're going somewhere, which is really what developing your mindset is all about, will definitely motivate you. It'll help you gain more momentum and get you more feeling like you're worth more. Your self-confidence, your self-worth, your self-esteem, everything will be really high up there, because you're developing yourself. You're really operating on that higher self, as opposed to operating on the lower self, which is basically just you filling yourself up with pleasure, or the middle self, which is really about just going day to day and really just surviving. In the higher self, that's where you're taking the risks, that's where you're doing things that seem a little crazy, a little out there, but you're doing it because you want to improve yourself. You want to improve your current life circumstances. So in order for you to do that, you have to change, you have to develop yourself, you have to do new things and seek new information. So definitely, you have to continue this path of developing your mindset. And as a side effect, you'll be motivated in order for you to be able to do more and more and more every time you're developing your mindset.
I love that. That could turn into a song. It's such a good explanation. And with that, thank you so much for being here, listening. If you've listened all the way through, please leave a comment down below. How this made you feel, and if this was good information, if we can do it better. I would love to hear from you guys. Please leave comments down below, and I appreciate you guys. We will be doing more, and very soon we'll have a better studio, better seating, and we're gonna do so much better. I love it.
Yeah, so definitely thank you very much for watching. We're relaunching this entire podcast, and so excited. You're gonna find a ton of links down below. Everything from our personal channels, so you can go ahead and subscribe. You know,
Yes.
in his channel, he does tutorials on how to make jewelry, so you get to see like behind the scenes what goes on from making jewelry pieces. In my channel, you get something similar as this podcast, but just a little bit more personal, since I'm a little bit closer to the camera, a little bit more in your face and everything. But it's just a personal development content. It's for like younger audiences, people in their 20s. So, you know, that's all great. You'll find links to all of our social medias down there, and of course, you know, as we start to add more things to our podcast, we'll go ahead and leave links down below for that as well. Of course, you can find our email as well if you want a specific topic to be discussed here on the podcast that you want us to talk about. You can go ahead and send us an email, or if you want to be part of this podcast and you want to actually come here and be a guest, we're also doing that as well. You can send us an email to that same email as well. So the email will be down below, so you guys can go ahead and send your submission in. And other than that, you know, it's exciting to be here once again. So as you may have noticed, you know, this episode is going to be uploaded in the specific channel here on Develop Your Mindset Podcast. We were actually uploading this on our other primary channel, which is Kabartsi. That's really the jewelry side of the company, but we've decided to sort of split the two, because, you know, we feel like we want to devote, you know, the brand of Develop Your Mindset Podcast to solely talk about motivation and success. And, you know, when you come to our social media channels, I want you guys to really feel like, you know, this is a motivational spot, and it's all about motivation and success and everything. And of course, you know, for people who love jewelry, you know, they're gonna get just jewelry over there and jewelry content. By the way, if you like jewelry, there'll also be a link down below, so you guys can go ahead and check out the jewelry that we have, you know, made by him. And like, yeah, maybe you want to talk about the jewelry that you make. And
Yeah, so definitely very soon I will be posting a lot of new jewelry in like 2 months time, which is like, this was when I had the time I opened a shop in my kitchen, and I started designing all these ideas that I had that I never had the time to actually do and like focus to do them in like perfect shape and form. And I did create that time during the quarantine. I didn't waste any time. I created my special designs. We're working on them. Very soon we'll have them in 2 months time, and they're all gonna end up on the website very soon. And we have a lot of previous ideas and designs over there. Please go and check them out and let us know what you think of them. And yeah. And visuals, the channel that I created, I'm working, like Louis said, I'm working and showing little techniques, little ideas, little better ways to do certain things. And if you guys have anything to ask how you make jewelry, I'll be gladly making videos or posting them on visuals. And with that, thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.
thank you so much.
See you.
See you.